Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable colleague for clearing that up for me. So we're here at this time to discuss the unfair back-to-work legislation because Canada Post Corporation decided to lock the doors and not allow the 48,000 postal workers who want to work, and I stand in solidarity with my sisters and brothers in the CUPW who want to but cannot work, with my fellow colleagues here in this caucus and thousands of members in my community and the rest of the Canadian community to defend the rights of all workers. As many of the members on the other side of this House have clearly articulated, the postal workers started a legal rotating strike on June 3rd. But they made sure that them exercising their legal right to strike as part of the collective bargaining process didn't stop the mail delivery that so many Canadians depend on. It's actually only after June 15th, when Canada Post shut the doors and locked the workers out, that we've even started to notice that the mail service was interrupted. And now, this past week, the government chose to interfere with the collective bargaining process and institute back-to-work legislation. The government's proper role in this process is to not interfere, but to tell its own Crown Corporation to get back to the negotiating table and to work out a fair and equitable collective agreement.
Absolutely.
The government's role is not to aid the corporation to achieve its bargaining goals through back-to-work legislation. This legislation removes all incentive for Canada Post to come back to the negotiating table and relieves Canada Post from its obligations to bargain, let alone bargain in good faith. This act by the Minister of Labour is undermining the collective bargaining process that many women and men have struggled, sacrificed, and fought for many years. Even when I was a conciliator with the Provincial Labour Board, this is what we encouraged and pushed for all parties, was to come to a negotiated settlement on their own. The strength of those who came before us, who defended the right to bargain collectively, created benefits for all Canadians. And today's young women and men who are entering the workforce are able to enter the workforce knowing that they will be able to enjoy these benefits, benefits such as the 8-day workday. Of course, I don't have that today, but most Canadians enjoy that. 8-hour workday. Thank you, everybody here. The 22 hours is getting to me, I guess, eh? The concept of a weekend, standards and measures to ensure safe working conditions, parental leave, and of course many others. Basically, Mr. Speaker, we all have an improved standard of living directly because of the work that the union movement and workers have accomplished over the years.
Absolutely.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's important at this point to also note that it is the workers of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, the CUPW, who accomplished many of the advancements in women's rights in the workplace. As a young woman, I'd like to outline a few of these. In 1974, the CUPW members stood in solidarity with most of the female workforce of the coder machine operators. These workers went on an illegal strike to defend the need for equality for the women who were in the low-paid coder classification. 1981, the CUPW workers went on strikes and won paid maternity leaves. This allowed for many of us, young women today, the freedom to not have to choose between raising a family and following and building a career, knowing that we will not have to worry about financial barriers to take care of our newborns, but also knowing that we will have a job to return to after the maternity leave. 1985, the CUPW organized and obtained a collective agreement representing cleaning staff in Toronto, one of the very first ever bargaining units in the private sector, of which many of the workers were once again women. The union movement and CUPW in particular have a strong history of standing up and fighting for the struggles that led to the workers' rights and increased quality for women. As a woman, as a young worker, workers of all age, really, and as community members with a conscience, we cannot sit idly by as the rights of workers are taken away and the rights of all workers are deteriorated. These postal workers are our neighbors, our friends, everyday Canadians who deserve decent wages, benefits, and good working conditions. They provide vital services to my constituents of Scarborough Rouge River and all Canadians alike. Canadians like single parents who depend on the monthly child tax benefit check, seniors receiving payments through their GIS or OAS who don't have direct deposit, Canadians who depend on the CPP disability benefit payments, low-income Canadians waiting on a tax return check, individuals waiting for their passports, newcomer families who are using the mail service for their family sponsorship applications to be reunited with their loved ones. These neighbors of mine, these neighbors across the country are waiting. They're waiting on Canada Post to unlock the doors and unseal those red mailboxes so that their lives can return to normal. The postal workers are asking for the same that my neighbors are asking for, to go back to work and continue to deliver the millions of pieces of mail that they deliver every single day. Through this back-to-work legislation, the government has decided to punish the workers by imposing a contract with wage increases much lower than Canada Post's last offer. Let me outline some of the details. 1.9% increase in 2000, Canada Post's offer was 1.9% in 2011, 12, and 13, and 2% in 2014, well below the 3.3% rate of inflation. The government's legislation, however, would offer something much lower than that. It's 1.75 in 2011, only 1.5 in 2012, and 2% in 2013 and 2014. This is despite the fact that Canada Post is profitable, earning $281 million last year alone. And its CEO, of course, as we've heard, earned an incredible $497,000 plus a 33% bonus. Whereas the offer on the table is one that offers a two-tiered wage system discriminating against young workers because they want to roll back the starting salaries for young workers. This proposal is unfair and unwarranted against young workers. As Paul Moist said, there is no such thing as a two-tiered rent or mortgage. Young workers and new workers don't get a discount on utility and grocery bills. I agree with him. I never got an opportunity to pay a discounted rent because I was a student working a part-time job. This is an outrageous, sorry, sir, I actually lived away from home for 9 years when I was 7 years when I was in university and after that as well. So I didn't have the opportunity, the luxury to stay at home like one of the hecklers just mentioned, Mr. Speaker. It's outrageous to say that young workers don't deserve the same wages that all other workers do. We are still fighting for, as women, we're still fighting for equal pay for equal work. And along the same lines, young workers deserve equal pay for equal work. This legislation is eliminating the public sector workers' right to negotiate collectively. Thank you.